Rooted in resilience, inspired by nature, powered by movement. The podcasts where healing meets empowerment. Let's rise and thrive together. And now, here are your hosts, Scott and Melissa.
Welcome to Rise and Thrive. I'm here with Melissa, and we're here to talk about the practice of patience today. So let's get going because I'm impatient.
And you're Scott.
Yes, I am.
I've done that twice now.
That's right.
And I'm Scott. Remember who he is.
I am Scott, and Melissa's going to lead us through a mindful moment.
Yes.
And then we'll begin our topic today.
And so when we do these mindful moments, we want to just remind each of us that this isn't for you to fast forward through. This is not for you to hurry up and wait to get through this point, to get to what we're talking about. This is for you to come into your body, to be into this moment right now. And so it is a practice. So I want to actually expose you to something today. Many of us have done this without even thinking about it, and you have to because you would not be alive if you're not doing it. And that is the human sigh. So you've caught it when you're just like sigh or trying to reset, or you get agitated, you'll like take a breath. So physiologically, that is a reboot to your system. And we have found that we can actually induce that to help the body reset. And you can literally do it within 3 of the breaths. So what this looks like is a double inhale. So in a moment, we'll take it and you could be like eyes, soft gaze, or close your eyes when we get there. You're going to inhale to the top, and then you're going to take an extra little sip. And then you're going to just let it out. And then you're going to inhale and then an extra little sip and let it out. So we're going to do that 3 times. So sit back or align yourself as best you can. Welcome to close your eyes if that's accessible to you. And let's start with just a regular big sigh in through the nose and out through the mouth. Think of this as just kind of putting everything else aside, coming back into your body and into the present moment. So when you're ready, from the low belly, inhale. And then at the top, take an extra little sip and then let it out. Do that 2 more times at your own pace. You're welcome to do another one or just return to a regular breath and notice. And then you're welcome to open your eyes if they're closed. So do make that little sip quite accentuated, and that helps. That's like inducing that sigh and that reset to your nervous system. Do this if you need it before you can't settle down at night before you go to sleep, when you're just throughout the day feeling impatient or stressed. A couple of those, like I said, 3 to 5 of those, and you reset your system. Practice it, play with it, and there you go.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Something about that extra sip of oxygen.
Well, it's helping to balance the CO2 and the O2. So it's not necessarily trying to get more air. It's helping those to balance so that you're actually using your oxygen more efficiently. Yeah. Great. So please give it a try.
Well, today's topic, as we mentioned, is the practice of patience. After a very long discussion about this, we realized that it feels energetically like there's less room for patience with people. It seems like people are more on edge, and it felt like, having been brought up in a family that had very little patience from my dad, and that led to us having little patience, I can attest to the mindful practice that I have used to be sure that I'm patient. And I think many people feel like I'm a patient person who know me, but that is really not my default network mode. It's always been, I've always been a little impatient, especially with myself. So we thought this was a really good place to have a conversation today. And we want to help you reframe. And we're going to do these reframing episodes from time to time. And that's a coaching term where we help people reframe beliefs or thoughts to get the results they want from their life.
To look through a different lens.
Yeah, to see a different lens. And we have a whole episode on that as well, how to reframe your entire lens. So, we want to just talk about how to have more patience, to bring yourself more joy, and to live a better, more peaceful existence.
Well, and to be open that it takes practice, especially if that is not your default mode network, to have that patience. And why would you want to practice it?
Yeah.
Right? Just like we did that double inhale, what was our focus? Was to help reset the nervous system to come into more of a calm state. And that's what these practices can help you do, so that Scott shared that we're seeing less patience. And I see it overall because people are so stressed, their background stuff, that they don't even realize that they're not having patience. They're just reacting. And so this is that reframe to say, where in my life can I open these opportunities to reframe, to practice what does patience mean? What does it look like for me? So think about that.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about waiting and how people are so impatient. I was at Costco and I tend to get there early because I want to get in and
try
get
to
out.
Find the right times to go.
Because I get impatient. And so I want to get there early and get in and out. I try to think that through. And I got there at, a few minutes before 10 o'clock. And I forget what membership I have at Costco. So I show up at 10 o'clock. Well, I've got the executive membership. I could have gotten there at 9. And I'm standing out there. And the only reason I learned this was because I'm standing outside and a lady got turned away because she was trying to get in 6 minutes before 10. And they turned her away. They told her that you can only come in between 9 and 10 if you have a business executive membership.
Good to know.
And that was when I was like, hey, I think I might have that. I don't pay attention. So, but the point of the story is the lady lost it.
Yeah.
She says, oh my God, it's only 6 minutes and I can't believe you're turning me away. And she walked by me and that's when I went, I should look at my membership. Oh, and then I walked in, but she was so impatient. She could not believe that they were turning her away at 6 minutes. Now that's a whole other conversation I'm not going to go into about the right and wrong of rules and, who's entitled, who isn't, that kind of thing. But the impatience was, I don't want to wait 6 minutes. What kind of opportunities, I'm asking you this question, what kind of opportunities could you do with 6 minutes?
Well, here's where, this came into play for me long time ago. I teach it in my classes and I still do it to this day. I talk about going to the bank, and I would find myself standing in line. And part of the reason this came up today for us is we talked about, like, life is waiting. It's hurry up and wait. That's a common phrase you hear. And years ago, I've been teaching my classes for decades. I had this little thought that comes up, and I would describe this when I would offer this skill and support to come into your body. And so when I would go to the bank, I would stand there, and typically watching myself and others, you either, you're sitting there on one foot, kind of in one hip, and scrolling on your phone. And some in the line are getting agitated with having to wait. And I thought, here's an opportunity. I could sit here and scroll on my phone, or get agitated that I'm waiting, that other customer's taking extra long to have someone count out. Whatever. And so I started to, those of you that are in my yoga classes will understand, I would align my beam. I would shift my flashlight and stand and breathe and allow myself that moment to be without the pressure of doing something, getting something done, or zoning out by scrolling, feeling like a little dopamine hit by watching whatever. And I've started doing that, and it's become a habit every time. So that's a physical component that I have applied as far as like reframing, like when you find yourself needing to wait, can you, realign your posture and come into your body and breathe, and that's a skill in itself. And we're going to share a little snippet. Hopefully you'll be able to hear this. We're going to have our amazing editor being put it in if we can. I came across this comedian, and you're going to say his name for me, please.
His name is Taranghardikar.
Yeah. And bless you out there. We'll tag you in this. I just enjoy your videos. And anytime we can have a moment to laugh is good. So he's a funny comedian.
He does a bit on waiting.
Yes.
And we're going to play it for you right now.
Yeah. So enjoy it.
I started liking strange things. Like I've started liking this thing called waiting. I love waiting. I went to meet a friend and she was like, just wait till I get there. Yeah, I was waiting. I was waiting. And then I was like, it's okay if she doesn't come. I'm enjoying this. I love waiting, man. I love it. It's like doing nothing, but with a purpose. Usually when you do nothing, you feel guilty about it. You're like, why am I not doing anything? Here, somebody's counting on me to do that. That's their expectation. They were like, who can do nothing? I stepped up.
Okay, so hopefully you watched it.
Hopefully you heard it.
Hopefully you heard it. So essentially what we wanted to pull from him sharing that is many of us, if we have open time, we feel agitated or like I should be getting something done. And if I'm not, you feel guilty or and what he described in the video, and hopefully you listen to it or you'll see it either both or either, is that he says, I love waiting. He's like, it's doing nothing with a purpose. And literally think about it. I want you each to think about it. Think about it right now. When have you been purposely waiting for someone and you gave yourself permission just to wait? Maybe it's like he was waiting for a woman to come have coffee with him. And he says, so I'm waiting and I'm waiting. And he's just like, I'm okay if she doesn't come because I'm enjoying this. And he felt like he had a purpose.
A little respite.
And so we want to offer that to you today is that can you reframe waiting and turn it into an opportunity to tap into patience, to breathe, to ground yourself, to allow yourself to be okay in the moment without thinking it's another checklist or you should be doing something. Because oftentimes we spin out in that and we've wasted the time, so to speak, spinning on what we think we should be doing when we could embrace that moment to actually nourish ourselves and feel more replenished for whether it's a person coming to meet you or the teller's ready for me to come up and handle my bank transaction, whatever it may be. And guess what? I'm going to be more calm and more receptive and more balanced in myself versus agitated, pissed off, or, a frequency that's vibrating out of me of being impatient or stressed or preoccupied because I was scrolling.
Well, you asked the question, can you be okay with waiting? And I think it is, yes, you can. Mm-hmm. I think the real question is, will you? And are you able to have enough self-awareness to feel that moment you start to shift? And are you able to then capture that moment to reframe?
Well, and maybe this is the first time you've thought about it. So that's what we want to encourage you is like, because we all know, I know you wait. I know you do.
We're forced to.
We all do. I think about what is that phenomenon about everybody goes and checks out at the grocery store at the same time. Mm-hmm. And so you end up waiting until they call another cashier or whatever it is up to. And so what do you do in that moment when you're waiting? And that's what I want to inspire each of us to take with us and you to like say, all right, how do I view waiting?
It's a classic opportunity to be instead of do. Mm-hmm. Is we're always trying to do, right? And in that moment, I mean, the pull to pull your phone out is strong.
Oh yeah.
Return a text message or
I'll catch up on
I'll catch up on scrolling or news and that is probably the hardest thing for me is to not
think of it as a productive time, which I want to balance that. That can be. You can be like, okay, let's say I'm waiting.
On the wait, right?
Like, let's say I'm at a coffee shop and I got there early, which is rare.
Good point. It's not wrong.
And so let's say I'm waiting. I've actually done this very recently where I got a couple emails done and text messages, and then I was still waiting because they weren't there yet. And I actually put my phone down, and it feels odd at first because everyone else around you is on their phones or most on their phones or, they're talking or whatever. And so just sitting there, we got to sit in the discomfort of not doing anything, because I think we feel safe when we're doing something like this. There's a comfort in being distracted. If you put it down, it's like, so I've had that odd feeling really recently, and I'm just like, but I'm going to lean into it. I'm just going to sit here because I answered my text and my email that I could there. Really nothing else I wanted to attend to literally in that moment. So I chose to just sit and be a little uncomfortable, and then it kind of smoothed out because I'm like,
Do you remember the meme? I was at the coffee shop today and there was some person sitting there drinking their coffee, not on their phone, doing anything. Psycho,
right?
I mean, that's funny,
Well,
but it's not funny because it is.
We think we have to be looking like we're productive. I know that for a lot of my clients, that if they are just sitting there resting or being with one of my dear sweet beings is just being with her dogs. And she's like, but I don't feel productive. And so we had to kind of reframe that word and realize that hanging out and being is your right and your human need for your body to be more productive at other times.
And for your soul to rest. One of my favorite Seinfeld episodes of all time is when Elaine is flying back from Europe and her boyfriend Putty's sitting there, and they've just had an argument and they've made up, and he's just staring now at the back of the seat. She says, "Is that what you're going to do? You want to read something?" No. He says, "No." And he just stares at the seat. "You want something to listen to?" "No." "So you're just going to sit there and do nothing and stare at the back of the seat?" He goes, "Yeah." And she broke up with him again. She goes, "You're an idiot. Nobody does that." Right. And it just was classic. Why can't I just sit here and do nothing? Why is that a bad thing? It drove her nuts that he wasn't going to be doing something. I thought when I watched it, first of all, it's hilarious. It's one of my favorites. But second of all, it is wired into us now to be productive, and we need to fill the time. We need to fill the time. And we wonder why. I'm just as guilty of it. I'm no expert at this. It
takes practice. That's why
it does take practice. And that's why all the years of my practice has helped me with this. I can't imagine not having my practice to support me in it. But I still find myself doing.
Yeah.
And I now know my limits as far as the clock time. I'm like 4 o'clock, I start winding down because that's my brain is telling me. My body's telling me that it's time to start easing into the evening.
Gears.
Yeah. I think you have to listen to those bodies, those time frames when your body's telling you to shift, and how to downshift and not need to fill the time.
And I think about another meme. We like pictures and memes and all that stuff. I think about that one where that little elderly lady is at a concert and she's sitting at the gate just watching, and everybody else is distracted on their phones or using their phones. Mm-hmm. That's going to lead us to the next. And what's his name again?
The comedian's name is Taranghardikar.
Bless you. Hopefully we're not butchering your name. Another little snippet that we're going to play for you is about being in the moment. And that is another practice of patience. And it's cute when he shares. So we'll play it now, hopefully.
Play right now.
So yeah.
Being in the moment.
Being in the moment.
Before I start the show, I just want to do a quick check. Are you guys in the moment right now? Yeah? Yeah? Are you in the moment? Yeah? Yeah? Now you're gone. Come back. That's the thing about the moment. You can't talk about the moment. The moment you talk about moment, you fall out of the moment. I have this meditation app I downloaded, and the person was like, take a deep breath. I was taking deep breath. I was in the moment. Take a deep breath out. I was in the moment. Then he was like, be in the moment. Now I'm gone. I was there until you said moment. First rule of moment, don't talk about moment.
So we're hoping that you got to listen to that. But essentially, this is
a very funny
comedian was talking about like the moment, can't say it's the moment because now it's gone. Right. So what does it mean to practice being in the moment? And this lends itself to patience, because just like if we were talking about the mindful moment at the beginning, is it too long? Are people distracted? Like it might be. I'm committed. I know you're committed to keeping that there. It's not to have dead air, right? That's something else you hear about. Like if it's dead air, people are going to lose people. That's for you. That's for me. That's for each of us to just have
Reset.
a moment to actually come back into this space and not be, what is the next thing? What do I got to be doing here? What am I here? You're missing here. And that is part of the practice of patience, because many of us have been trained. We are, as humans, we're forward thinkers. We're planners. You're planning for Friday. You're planning for retirement. You're planning for vacation, right? This is all, that's good. There's goals there. But if we're never here, we miss this. And we get stuck in either this or this.
Yeah,
This meaning past or future.
I'm going to talk about the past too, because you've all been in conversations with people who aren't fully present, and you know it.
Yeah.
And they're stuck somewhere else. They're worried about their kid, or they're worried about their finances, or worried about something, or they're reliving something joyful in the past, but they're not here now.
Yeah.
And so the ability to be present allows you to dictate your next level of presence, which is your future. And if you're stuck in the past or you're too far in the future, you're right, you lose that moment. And I want to add that we are emotionally driven creatures. And so this is not something that you just click in your brain, I'm going to be present with. You may have to face and manage through some things like guilt or shame, or as my very first coach I ever had reflected back to me, case of the shoulds. I was shoulding all over myself. Should be doing this, I should be doing that. And what I've processed and learned over the years, and I still use should occasionally, but I catch myself, is replacing the word should with the word could, because should is a very guilt-ridden word. And so when you say, I shouldn't be on the floor with my dogs right now, I should be doing this, or I should be doing that, that's the moment for reframe. I could be doing that, but I'm choosing to do this because this is important to me. On the floor with your dogs, that's really important. It's important for you in that moment. It's important for the dog. There's other things that are happening that we don't necessarily see out picturing in the moment, like when you send an email. Okay, that's done. But when you're on the floor with your dog and you're getting reset and you're in joy, feel that moment of joy and allow that guilt and shame and case of the shoulds to take a back seat. And over time, you'll get the balance you need. And all that leads to the practice of patience. Being patient with yourself is the first step. And then you can be patient with others. Then you can be patient waiting in line. But you got to start with yourself.
Yeah. Well, it's a common practice in my yoga classes is I give everybody a moment at the beginning to say, I know you brought your body here, but now let the rest of you show up, because many times we're off, right? And other areas and doing other things when our lives are series of appointments to hurry up and wait and show up to. You may be physically there, but are you mentally there? And this is that internal practice of, what does patience look like for you? What does taking a moment to realign your body and your posture feel and look like to you? Allowing yourself time to choose to cuddle with your dog and know that that's nourishing. It's that lens of awareness that's a could and a needed thing for us as the human experience. It isn't just about completing the list or getting to the next thing.
And I think impatience can lead to catastrophic collateral results.
Yeah, we see it all the time.
And I know for myself, having been super impatient in the past, I just was telling Melissa that I went camping this weekend, and man, it's crazy on the freeways anymore. Everyone agrees. It is nutty. And I was angry a couple of times when people with absolutely no signal or no care and no space between the vehicles, by the way, had to slam on my brakes twice. And I found my anger rising. I find my impatience immediate and a bit uncontrolled. I was pissed. And the lack of caring when someone does that about safety or entitlement because they're more important, and all these things come up from your head, right? The ambivalence of people when they get behind the wheel. And so I had to use my breathing practice. I had to bring myself down, but it took a while because that toxicity, that cortisol pumping through my veins and the slamming onto the brakes and the swerving of the car. I mean, it could have been a really bad situation. And I could have made it a lot worse had I not brought myself back and breathed and just let it go.
Well, and I want to piggyback on that because I've had to do that practice, and I've actually shared that practice with a child of mine that has been has done really good at working on it because they were having that kind of reaction. I want to add another potential reframe here because you mentioned about like all the thoughts that came, right? When that person cut you off or whatever, it was like the entitlement and all that, right? That was your story.
Yep.
That was your perception. That was what added to that rise of impatience and stress. Granted, your life a big thing almost occurred, right? So it's not putting that down whatsoever. The reframe that we can offer there to help the body recover from that is, and this is what I started doing. I still remember coming out of when I was one of my clinics. I was coming out and I remember car pulling out in front of me, and I was like, the first reaction is, wanting to get upset. And then it's like, what helped me talk myself down. And again, it's a story because I don't know for sure, but it helped my body and my system. I said, that person probably didn't see me. I'm sure maybe they've got a lot of shit going on. They've got some heavy stuff. They just were completely unaware, which we know there's a lot of unaware drivers now, and ourselves included sometimes. So that has helped me personally, is to have that kind of story prepared, because I feel like you felt the cortisol and adrenaline and fear and everything else. And that pumps through your system, and it needs to be
Flushed out,
processed. So yes, breathing is number one. And then the thoughts we have about it, because I've known many that experience with my daughter, love her to death. And she's working on it. She's really done a really good work on it. She doesn't get as agitated as she would. But in the past, I would see her get so mad at a driver. And then how much longer was she continuing to talk about that driver? She was keeping the story going and getting, more and more heated and stressed about it, when it's like, oh, honey, I feel it in your body. Like, and so it is a practice for all of us. But our first step is becoming aware that how we're responding in that moment. And can we tap into patience? Can we tap into breath? Can we say, okay, body? Because we come back to the video from the moment guy. Watch it again if you can, because it's just hilarious. But that's all we have right now is this moment. And we can bring patience into peace and joy. We get to choose and decide our mood, even if there's other influences at the time. And please know, it's not discounting an experience or a wave coming through. It's acknowledging those and then realizing our power to reframe and what that's doing for us.
Well, things are going to happen. This is the point, right? Is the patience gets you through one thing, but trust me, there's rollers out there, and they just keep coming in, and the stimulus will continue, and the waiting will continue, and the bad drivers will continue. And so you're giving yourself the peace internally, and it doesn't mean that you're just going to be peaceful and like everyone can do what they want. There is a time and place to have boundaries. There's a time and place to say enough. Obviously, the person in the car, that wasn't my time and place to have boundaries. I mean, what am I going to do, right? But if you feel like you're being overly patient and someone's taking advantage of you, as an example, you also have to have your boundaries. And that is also a form of patience, because you're feeding yourself to say, no, I'm not going to be a doormat. I'm not going to continue to wait on this person or this thing, but you don't have to be angry about it.
Mm-hmm.
You can do it in a matter-of-fact way. Now, there are going to be people out there who say, well, I gave it a minute when it really needed 10 minutes. So you have to decide what that is for you. But I feel like my practice over the last few decades has led me to give a little more grace and a little more patience. And then I know where the boundary is. And man, I'm not afraid to say, this isn't working for me. I'm going to find a different person to do this job. I'm not going to engage with you any longer. It's okay, because that is also a way for you to stay more grounded and be true to your authentic self, which is what our podcast is all about. rise and thrive and be authentic to you and happier.
And building I wanted to tie it into the community that all of these things that we're working on together is to build this community of that. I'm going to repeat almost every episode, the collective wave of consciousness amongst all the chaos in the world and the stress in the world and the reaction and the drama and the pain and all that. We can be part of, I'm a Dalai Lama quoter, is, be the, what is it? Be the peace. No, I'm going to lose it. Like, be the peace that you want.
Yeah.
I'm forgetting the quote.
Yeah.
You know what quote I'm talking about.
I do. Yeah.
It's called my age now. Be what you want to see in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There we go. I think there's something like that. But that collective wave of consciousness, this is where our power lies. So it's not just touchy-feely to like feel better in the moment, which granted, it's that collective way of being that is energetically spreading to all. And that's part of our whole goal with Vital Edge Wellness Coaching and the podcast and our retreats, which we have one coming up very, very soon. We're so very excited. And excited to announce the next one. So.
Yeah, I think that we say this every episode, it comes down to choice. And you get to choose how you want to be in the world. And you can do that through the breath and patience and grounding and be who you want to be. Or you can let your impatience dictate who you want to be in the world. And we're seeing more and more of that being what feels like the dominant energies. And so we want you to create a space for yourself. That's why we want to build our community in this way, so we can support each other in bringing more collective peace through single users practice that allow others to feed off of that. And I know that's one of the greatest things that Melissa and I share is that we feed off of each other's practices. And those of you who've worked with us know what we mean by that, because we're feeding off of them, who's feeding off of us, and we're all rising together. So we hope this was helpful. There's a lot more to talk about around this. We'll have more reframing episodes. Check out our website at vitaledgewellnesscoaching.com. And we'd appreciate you rating our podcast and leaving comments and sharing this with your friends. We've been doing this now. We're going into 18 or 20 episodes soon. And it's been just a blast. And we'd love for others to be exposed to this. So share with your friends, give us a rating, and we'll see you next time. And be sure to take care of each other. And don't forget to take care of yourselves.
Namaste.
Thanks for tuning in to Rise and Thrive, a podcast by Vital Edge Wellness Coaching. If you found this episode meaningful, please rate, review, and share it with someone who might need it. For upcoming retreats and to join the Vital Edge Wellness community, head to vitaledgewellnesscoaching.com. Let's rise and thrive together.